Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Samantha Heathwood.
Good afternoon. Our top stories on 7. Lost without her, Emma Lovell's family relive her final harrowing moments as sentencing begins for the teen who killed the North Lakes mum. A disturbing discovery in the search for 2 Aussie brothers missing in Mexico. A high-flying former lawyer falls foul of the law after police foil a plot to smuggle cocaine in frozen chickens. And buyers beware, scammers are out to ruin Mother's Day. Good afternoon. Harrowing footage of the moment North Lakes mum Emma Lovell was stabbed and killed has been played in court. As Anna McGraw reports, a boy who cannot be identified has pleaded guilty to the Boxing Day murder.
Good afternoon. Emma Lovell's teenage daughters sobbed in court as they watched the moment their mother was killed on video, leaving the room shortly after it was played with their father Lee. The accused, who was 17 at the time, has pleaded guilty to the mother's murder on Boxing Day 2022. The confronting video footage played in court showed the moment he and another teen broke into the couple's home as they slept. Emma and her husband Lee confront the pair, not realising the offender was armed with a knife. Her family today watching and reliving the moment she was stabbed in their front yard.
It was pretty challenging to hear some of the stuff and watch the video but I suppose coming out of there now I feel pretty positive to a certain extent that we might get more of an outcome than what we were sort of hoping for.
Lee Lovell and his teenage daughters were supported by family in Brisbane's Supreme Court today. Lee read a victim impact statement from the witness box telling the court he and his girls are the ones who will end up enduring a life sentence.
I don't really think that we're going to get justice, to be honest. Like, nothing is ever going to be good enough, but I would like to see the defendant get more than 10 years at least.
Another teen is also charged in relation to the matter but is yet to enter a plea. A Supreme Court judge has now adjourned the matter and will consider if it's a particularly heinous crime. If so, the juvenile could face a much longer sentence. We'll have more on this story in the news at 6.
Anna McGraw there. A former high-profile Brisbane defence lawyer has fronted court charged with trafficking more than 120 kilograms of cocaine concealed in frozen chickens. It's alleged Michael Bosher tried to transport the haul in a van from Melbourne to Sydney in 2022. The 55-year-old appeared in court via telephone. He'll remain in custody. There's been a troubling new discovery in the search for 2 Australian brothers missing in Mexico. A ute believed to have been driven by the pair found burnt out. US correspondent Miley Hogan is in Ensenada.
That vehicle was found burnt out in a farm south of Ensenada. The vehicle does match the description of one of the cars that belonged to one of the Australian brothers. That car was found in an area known as Santo Tomas. It is a region that we know authorities have been focusing their search on. And earlier, police did confirm that they found 3 tents and other possessions they believe are linked to the 3 missing men. Right now, we know that Mexican authorities have 3 people in custody, 1 woman and 2 men, all are Mexican. They are being questioned over this disappearance, and this is a massive investigation. The Australian government is offering consular assistance to the Australian family involved, the Robinsons. We know that the US government is also helping the family of the American citizen that has been reported missing, and the FBI is also heavily involved in this case.
We certainly hope that these brothers are found safely, but there is real concern about the fact that they've gone missing. Their mother is obviously very distressed about this, and we just hope for a positive outcome.
A very distressing time for the families involved. Earlier, the Robinsons released a statement saying that they are holding out hope their 2 beautiful sons will be found. Fears here today are really starting to grow as authorities race to try and locate those 2 missing Australian brothers and their American friend.
The couple who allegedly tortured and tried to murder a 23-year-old man north of Brisbane has been named. Bella Louise Rose, Shebel and Cooper Anthony William Bunny had a string of serious charges heard in Caboolture Magistrates Court this morning. We'll have more in this a little later in the bulletin. The state government has started the sell on its multi-billion-dollar cost of living relief plan ahead of next month's budget. Laura Dimmick joins me now. Laura, the Premier says this is Labor's big ticket spend in the upcoming budget.
Yes, Sam, and it is a costly one at more than $2 billion. The government has committed to giving every Queensland household $1,000 off its electricity bill, all thanks to a surplus raked in from bumper coal royalties. This energy rebate was announced ahead of the budget being handed down next month to give the power companies time to pass along those savings. Premier Stephen Miles visited a retirement home today to start spruiking the cost of living relief, while letting Queenslanders know this will be the centrepiece of his election budget.
Yeah, as I've been saying since the 15th of December when I was made the Premier, that this budget would include big measures to address cost of living. We've put all of it into this one initiative.
We'll have to wait for June 12 to hear what other measures will be included in the budget, but we can reveal this afternoon more than 250,000 Queenslanders are right now missing out on existing government rebates. I'll tell you how to access those savings in the news at 6. Sam?
Thank you, Laura. Well, 3 hooded thieves have been caught on CCTV ransacking a servo in Logan. The armed men stormed the Park Ridge business around 4:30 this morning, threatening another customer on the way in. The trio demanded cash and cigarettes before escaping with drawers full of tobacco. They left in a dark grey Hyundai, scaring people at the Bowser as they made their escape. Home building rates have reached the lowest in a decade and rental vacancy rates at a record rock bottom, according to a new government report. The Federal Housing Minister is this afternoon vowing to work with the states to open up more land and supply. Ben Downey has the latest.
Housing affordability became worse in 2023. That's the stark finding of the State of the Housing System report. Only 172,000 homes were completed in 2023, the lowest number in the past decade. If you're lucky enough to buy one, to the dwindling number of homes, only 13% are affordable, and saving for a deposit can take 10 years. The number of available rentals is declining too. Australia's vacancy rate is 1.6%, around the lowest on record. And if you can find a rental, the price of those has also risen 8% in the past year. There are many reasons for all of this, according to the report. Construction times have blown out. Borrowing costs have too. Construction companies can barely find workers, leading to many firms collapsing. In the face of this, the government is sticking to its goal of building 1.2 million homes, saying it's already delivered 110,000 since being elected.
We have incentives on the table for states and territories and local governments to do the reforms that are necessary to meet the targets. The issue here is supply, and we're getting on with delivering that, working with the states and territories.
Last year alone, more than 600,000 people came to this country, and at the same time, only 160,000 homes were built. Where on earth does Anthony Albanese and the Labor Party think these new migrants are going to live?
The report stresses housing is not about assets, but homes, and shelter is a basic human right, a right this report reveals is getting further and further out of reach.
Let's go to Paul Burt now, who's at Coolangatta. Bertie, you've got a few world champions hitting the surf ahead of a big weekend.
Oh, here we go, Fisher again.
Yeah, Sam, it's incredible. We've got Paul Fisher out there. Fisher, you can hear it in the background. That's him out here on the wave at the moment. But what we are going to see is Fisher's actually down here, DJ Fisher tomorrow for the After Lunch Festival. 30,000 plus people coming down. And we've got that amount of numbers here at Snapper Rocks. Just everyone enjoying it, because the world champs out there, you've got Fanning, you've got Slater, you've got Gilmore, you've got Parko, and of course Dingo Morrison and Fisher. Those guys are all out there. So it is the Challengers Series at the moment, and of course that's going to take it into qualifying for everyone else who's competing in the event World Tour next year, 2025. So it's going to be a week already has been down here, loads of people enjoying it, what is on offer. But I tell you what, if you're coming down tomorrow, you're absolutely going to just knock your rocks off and socks off, because it is absolutely incredible. I want to talk to you about the temps today, because obviously it hit up to around 23, 24 coastal, 25 around Ipswich, 24 degrees up there on the Sunshine Coast. So Sam, a few more showers. I think it's going to be a little bit heavier tomorrow. Down here, if you don't want to get into the crowds, don't come to Coolangatta. If you want to get in the crowds, come and join the crew. It's going to be a big live weather scene.
Here we go.
Oh, Bertie, you are a pig in mud there. Enjoy it. A crash emergency after the break. A truck ploughs into a Toowoomba school. The dramatic pictures. A scam warning to shoppers ahead of Mother's Day. And on your bike, the new park set to draw crowds on the Gold Coast.
Mexican mystery, what happened to 2 Aussie surfers? Plus GPs, dentists, even Pilates. The Southeast's new one-stop health hub. Also, the new guide helping families find cheap homes in the best school catchments and bargain getaways. Flights from just $29. 7 News at 6.
Now it's personal.
Australia's property report card. The most affordable suburbs with the best performing schools and getting more bang for your buck. Fresh food hacks, making food last longer, saving your family money with products under $30. Plus, may the 4th be with you. We meet Australia's biggest Star Wars fans. Only on Weekend Sunrise.
A truck has crashed into a school in Toowoomba. The rig left the road, mounted the footpath, collected some street signs and ended up crashing through a fence and into St Joseph's College.
Very fortunate that the driver did get out of the vehicle. As you can see, the truck did not roll right over and was up against the building.
It happened just after 6 this morning. The driver was taken to hospital in a stable condition. Police are still investigating how it happened. Queensland families are being urged to be extra cautious when buying gifts this Mother's Day, with warnings of a surge in online scams. For more, I'm joined by Griffith University retail expert Graham Hughes. Graham, the Australian Consumer Watchdog has warned that this is a busy time of year for online scammers. With Mother's Day around the corner, how concerned should shoppers be?
Consumers should be really vigilant at this time of year. There's a lot of activity, an increased number of online transactions which are occurring which shouldn't happen. So consumers have reported an increase of 50% in terms of financial implications to them over this last year.
Do you have any other advice for shoppers to avoid disappointing their mums on Mother's Day?
Oh, look, jump online, but be really vigilant. So ensure that the website that you're going on to is legitimate, and go in store if you're unsure.
Aussies were fleeced out of more than $50 million this time last year. What sort of tactics are the scammers using?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So we're getting obviously the online and many others which are creeping in. We're also getting these text messages, so the hi mum scams. So it really pulls on the emotional heartstrings. And they might look like, hi mum, I'm a little down on money and borrowing my friend's phone. Could you maybe lend me some money so I can see you this Mother's Day? So really watch out for those.
Yeah, I've got a couple of those. Thank goodness my kids aren't old enough for that yet. But yeah, thank you so much for your time, Graham. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
The US President has made a clear message of condemnation responding to violent clashes at elite college campuses across America. Joe Biden says order must prevail as student activists face off over the war in Gaza.
Shutting down campuses, forcing the cancellation of classes and graduations. None of this is a peaceful protest. Threatening people, intimidating people, instilling fear in people is not peaceful protest. It's against the law.
The White House says the cries of protesters won't change its stance to the conflict in the Middle East. It was a race against time for Indiana police responding to a semi-submerged car on its roof. Officers smashed a rear window, and after the occupant insisted on passing her handbag out first, rescuers finally got the driver free.
Okay, there you go. Nice to see you.
The woman was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. And part of a major US highway will be closed until at least Monday after a truck carrying fuel exploded in Connecticut. The fireball scorched a bridge above and was so hot, firefighters struggled to get near it. It took hours for them to put it out. Nobody was hurt, but the blast forced all lanes to close, leaving traffic banked up for kilometres at peak hour. Some of Queensland's most daring BMX bandits have flocked to the Gold Coast for the opening of a new pump track at Pizzey Park. The $1.7 million course is Australia's biggest. It features 2,500 square metres, undulating track for beginners and the bold.
I've ridden a few. None have the big war ride features like this, so it's epic to have like the big features like that and also the kiddie tracks on the side.
The course's highlights include a whopping 50 jumps and 3 wall rides. Princess Charlotte in the spotlight. Coming up, the 9-year-old royal's new portrait taken by her mum. And in sport, in rugby league royalty, on the hop, Wayne Bennett opens up on going to the Bunnies.
In 7 News, GPs, dental care, pathology, even Pilates, Brisbane's new one-stop health hub, taking pressure off our hospitals. Plus, finding the cheapest homes in the best school catchments. The easy guide that's done all the homework for you. 7 News at 6.
Mexican mystery, what happened to 2 Aussie surfers? Plus GPs, dentists, even Pilates, the Southeast's new one-stop health hub. Also, the new guide helping families find cheap homes in the best school catchments and bargain getaways, flights from just $29. 7 News at 6.
Police ministers and police commissioners from right across the country have met in Canberra to discuss their critical role in tackling the national crisis of gender-based violence. It comes after National Cabinet signed off on a plan that will give women escaping violence a $5,000 payment.
First Ministers tasked this Police Ministers' Council, along with the Standing Council of Attorneys General, to develop options for improving police responses to high-risk and serial perpetrators, including considering use of focused deterrence and fixated threat strategies.
28 women have already been killed in 2024. The Royals have marked Princess Charlotte's 9th birthday by sharing a new portrait taken by her mother Catherine. Joel Dry reports from London.
It has become a tradition for the Princess of Wales to take and release a photo of each of her kids on their birthday, and today it was the turn of Princess Charlotte, who turned 9. Princess Catherine took this photo in the grounds of Windsor Castle, showing her young daughter looking all grown up and quite innocent, despite her once saying she was the most boisterous of all of her children. It comes a week after Prince Louis turned 6 and his photo was taken and released. And hopefully they both received a call from their granddad, the King of England. And King Charles was again back at work today for a very special occasion. He was receiving the official coronation roll. This is a very long piece of paper that meticulously documents every single thing that happened on that coronation event 1 year ago. It has been a tradition that has been ongoing since 1308. This one now joins those many historical artefacts.
Hundreds of people have turned out to support the Salvation Army's Red Shield Appeal breakfast at the Brisbane Convention Centre. The charity says they're seeing more Queenslanders living below the poverty line as the cost of living crisis deepens.
Some of our places where there would be a meal served, it's not just the poor or the marginalised or the homeless who are presenting, it's workers who can't put food on their tables at night.
The Salvation Army is calling on Queensland businesses to help raise $600,000 in their 2024 appeal. Alyssa's here with Friday Sport. Is Wayne Bennett off to the Bunnies?
Well, we'll wait and see about that one, Sam, but hello to you. Hello to everyone else as well. Rugby League's master coach will begin serious negotiations with the Rabbitohs next week. Australia 74 at Dolphins training this morning. Bennett denies he's already been offered a 3-year contract.
I just like their brand, I like them, I work with them, I have a good relationship with everybody there.
Which can't come quick enough after blowing.
Like the vibe there.
It doesn't really matter, like Wayne or whoever's coaching us next year is coaching us next year, so we're worried about next week.
Which can't come quick enough after blowing a 12-0 lead. South thrashed 42-12 by Penrith in their first game since Jason Demetriou's sacking. Isaac Tungo is facing a week for the tackle, injuring Jai Gray. Latrell returns at fullback next Saturday against the Dragons.
And was there a temptation to maybe bring him back through the centres? There was a bit of talk about that.
No.
Bunnies forward Jacob Host will miss 2 games for making contact with Brad Schneider's leg. Suns coach Damien Hardwick's aiming to change Q-Clash history against the Lions by emulating them. Hardwick's eager for his side to just make the finals, but do it consistently, like Brisbane over the past 5 years. He's ordered playoff-like intensity Sunday as they chase their second Q-Clash Cup in 11 meetings.
We want to be kings of the north, in effect, and that's something we're trying to look to implement this week. And, you know, we do go up to the Gabba. Obviously, it's been a fortress for them. They haven't quite been as strong there this year, but that's not to say they're going to come out breathing fires.
The Lions are yet to win at home this season. A month out from the T20 World Cup, Travis Head and Pat Cummins are firing in the IPL. Head made 58 from 44 balls in the Sunrisers, 3 for 201 against the Rajasthan Royals. Hyderabad captain Cummins turned the game with the ball, taking 2 late wickets. The match going down to the final delivery.
Oh, is this out? It's been given! A full ball was hit him on the pad!
The Sunrisers held on for a 1-run win. Sam will have plenty more at 6 for you.
Thanks, Alissa. Well, it's time to see what's coming up in 7 News at 6 and our Gold Coast Bulletin. Sharon and Amanda are here. Good afternoon to you both. Sharon, you will have a live report from Mexico on the latest in the search for missing Aussie brothers.
Yes, Sam, our reporter Miley Hogan is on the ground. In some developing news, the ute the brothers were travelling in has now been found burnt out. We'll have the latest on that investigation. Also, there's a new tool to help Queensland parents get their children into good schools without breaking the budget. And the new one-stop shop for all your health needs, from pharmacy to Pilates. We'll tell you where to find it, Sam, at 6.
Sounds pretty good, thank you, Sharon. And Amanda, there's fresh action on the Gold Coast to take action against thieves.
Well, Sam, Burleigh businesses are banding together to crack down on crime. We'll have the details soon. Also, 2 new residential towers have been proposed for Broadbeach. We'll show you the plans. And a big long weekend is expected in Coolangatta. There'll be music and world champion surfers, but will the weather hold off? Fingers crossed. We'll reveal all. Sam?
I'm sure they'll have fun regardless. Thanks, Amanda, and thank you, Sharon. Our Gold Coast viewers are off to the chase now. Then join Amanda and Steve for your local news at 5:30 and Sharon and Max at 6 o'clock. For the rest of Queensland, a mother permanently injured by the driver of a stolen car has her own vehicle stolen. Her heartbreaking story up next. A security crackdown at Centerlink. What will change at your local branch? And later, after the weather, Queensland's own little drummer boy sharing his incredible talent with the world.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Samantha Heathwood.
Good afternoon. Returning to some of our top stories this Friday, the family of Northlake's mum, Emma Lovell, have relived the horrific moment she was stabbed and killed as the video of the attack is played during the sentencing submissions for her teenage killer. There's been a disturbing new discovery in the search for 2 Australian brothers missing in Mexico. Investigators finding a burnt-out ute they believe was being driven by the pair. And the state government has started the sell on its multi-billion-dollar cost of living relief plan. Premier Stephen Miles has committed to giving every Queensland household $1,000 off upcoming energy bills in the centrepiece spend of his election budget. A woman accused of torturing and trying to kill a man north of Brisbane will make a bid for freedom next week. A man was also charged. Jordan Bissell has more.
Good afternoon. The couple is jointly charged with the torture and attempted murder of a 23-year-old man at a Mount Mee property. 21-year-old Bella Louise Rose Sheeble and her 23-year-old partner Cooper Anthony William Bunny are both accused of attacking the Eagle Farm man. Officers were called to the McLean Road property around 8:30 on Wednesday night following reports of an assault. The victim was rushed to the Royal Brisbane and Women's Hospital in a critical condition, found with serious head injuries. The pair was charged with 10 offences. Today, their matters were heard in the Caboolture Magistrates Court for the first time. Ms Sheeble's lawyer saying she will make a bid for freedom, a bail application to be heard on May 7. In the meantime, her partner's matter won't return to court until the 4th of July. He'll remain behind bars in the meantime. We'll have more details in 7 News tonight at 6 o'clock.
Jordan Bissell there. The family of one of the young women caught up in the Horror Legacy tunnel crash have provided an update on her condition. 23-year-old Emma McLean has shown some improvement but remains in an induced coma with a number of serious injuries. The family is grateful for all the well-wishers of support, telling 7 News they remain hopeful Emma will make a full recovery. Wednesday's crash killed her close friend, 24-year-old Lily Galbraith, and former police officer Bruce Daly. The federal government has announced $300 million worth of new security measures for Centerlink, almost a year after a staff member survived a brutal stabbing. Nick McCallum reports.
A shocking attack on a staff member at this Centerlink office last year has triggered a major overhaul of security nationwide. Almost a year ago, team leader here, Joanne Casser, was stabbed, allegedly by a disgruntled client. She's still off work, suffering excruciating pain in her left leg and mental anguish. She's one of a long line of victims of violence in Centerlink, Medicare and tax offices.
People still come in today to find out how I am. We make a difference to everyone's life.
Centrelink staff, Commonwealth public servants, are not the punching bags if you're having a bad day.
So now, to protect staff and clients, a security budget increase of over $300 million over 2 years. Officers upgraded to improve separation between staff and clients. Nationwide, the number of security guards will more than triple.
If it was like this on the 23rd of May, I might not be like this today.
Already, Joanne's colleagues here feel safer.
Out of such a tragic, horrible incident, what a wonderful workplace that my colleagues have to work in now.
And Joanne Casser would still like to return to work at this office as soon as she's fit to do so.
The Prime Minister has shifted the blame to a government-appointed board for failing to recommend a GPS ankle tracker for a free detainee who allegedly went on to bash a Perth grandmother. Anthony Albanese says it was the wrong decision, despite the Immigration Minister having the power to overrule it.
It is an outrage that this occurred, and my government is committed to doing what we can to address these issues.
The PM says he's upset that prosecutors didn't oppose bail for the 43-year-old, claiming it lacks common sense. A 46-year-old Western Sydney man will face court next month over a plot to hold the personal details of more than 1 million Australians hostage. Police are this afternoon warning customers who visited over a dozen pubs and clubs across the state to be vigilant. Andrew Denny has more.
Well, this breach has potentially left more than 1 million people's private data exposed, and overnight detectives from the New South Wales Police Cybercrime Squad arrested a 46-year-old man from his home at Fairfield West, charging him with blackmail.
Open the door now, be forced! Please don't fly!
He spent the night in custody before being released on police bail today in no mood to answer questions.
Hello, sir. How you going? Just a few questions, sir. What were you thinking?
Police allege Mr Newen once worked for the company at the centre of this alleged data breach, Outerbox. It provided digital sign-in services for clubs listed as being victims of this alleged leak. Critics slamming the government on why clubs should be allowed to collect and keep people's personal data in the first place.
We should look at every option in terms of protecting the data of the people of New South Wales. People do not need this anxiety in their life.
If you suspect that your security has been compromised, change your password immediately and contact police.
Now, it's unlikely there will be further arrests here, but detectives haven't ruled out making them overseas as they investigate whether or not other people were involved in this leak internationally.
A Townsville woman who became a paraplegic when she was hit by a stolen car has been made a target again by brazen thieves. Asti Savage was making coffee in the kitchen on Tuesday when a hooded thief snuck into her home. Her bag was taken from her lap and her specially modified car was stolen.
It's just being able to go out and have your independence again. Yeah, it's just all being taken away from me. I can't drive my kids to school.
Police are hunting the thieves involved. Asti's car remains missing. A court has found Manly Sea Eagles player Keith Titmuss died after an inappropriately tough training session. The 20-year-old collapsed, suffering heat stress. Bill Hogan was at the inquest into his death.
Good afternoon. Well, the NRL and the Manly board are right now consuming 50 pages of considerations following the coronial inquest into the death of Keith Titmuss. The 20-year-old lost consciousness and collapsed during a pre-season training session on November 23, 2020. Today, the Deputy State Coroner, Derek Lee, ruled the young player died of exertional heat stroke after a session he declared to be more than likely inappropriate. Keith's death has prompted a list of recommendations for both the club and the NRL to consider, aimed at preventing further tragedy from heat illness. Manly CEO Tony Medstrop declared outside the state's coroner court the club would adopt the considerations handed down.
This can't happen again in the game, we all understand that, and we don't want to happen under Manly's watch ever again.
The coroner recommended the NRL improve its heat policy too, setting guidelines for training sessions based on environmental factors. He also endorsed a mandated 2-week transition to training for players coming from off-season, including being screened by a medical officer. Keith was 4 kilograms overweight and considerably unfit 4 years ago. His mother, Lafo, hopes the game adopts its policies to prevent future problems.
He had such self-belief in himself, and he was so looking forward to making a mark in the rugby league world.
It's the end of a long process for Keith's family, who will forever remember him for being kind and gentle, and his death for bringing change.
A tourist ship has gone up in flames in waters off Penang Island in Malaysia. Huge plumes of smoke could be seen kilometres away as emergency services worked to quickly evacuate the 33 passengers and crew on board. It's understood the blaze broke out in the engine room. 4 passengers were reported to have suffered burns. To finance now, and Aussie shares ended the week on a positive note. Here's Laura Bezzarati from CommSec.
It was another good day for the Aussie market, lifting by 42 points or over 0.5%, and extending our winning streak to a second straight session, which means we ended the week in positive territory. Now, across all of the 11 sectors, we saw all of them lifting today. The interest rate sensitive, consumer discretionary, technology and real estate stocks were among some of the best. Financials also doing well, with Block Inc., the company behind Afterpay, performing best today, and that was after its quarterly results beat expectations. The major banks also pushing higher, but Macquarie was a bit of a lagger, its shares falling over 2% after revealing a drop in annual profit and a smaller dividend. Finally, the Aussie dollar currently buys 65.7 US cents.
It's the largest film ever made in Australia, so it was only fitting for Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, to host the world premiere in Sydney. The star-studded event featured both Chris Hemsworth and Anya Taylor-Joy, and our reporter Angelique Opie joined them on the red carpet.
It was Furiosa fever and a rock star welcome for the A-listers, including Chris Hemsworth, his kids and his wife, who also stars in the film. Leading lady Anya Taylor-Joy plays Furiosa. She was wearing an extravagant outfit, greeting hundreds of fans.
As a kid, I wanted absolutely nothing more than to do this. And so anytime I get that moment of, this is my job and they're asking me to do this and this is actually a reality, it's really special.
The last film of the franchise, Fury Road, swept up 6 Oscars, so this one is hotly anticipated.
To create environments where you're feeding off that space, and you're not, your imagination is allowed to work on the character, not filling in the gaps between like, where am I, what's the environment. Like, we were out in the desert, and the sets that we were a part of, where the artistry involved was incredible, and so yeah, it makes our job as actors much easier to sort of lose ourselves in the moment.
And I'm told by director George Miller that Furiosa is unlikely to be the last of the Mad Max series. The film opens in cinemas on May 23.
Still to come, a food delivery driver's eye-watering number of fines over dangerous driving. Also, drama at Jetstar, a cheap flight frenzy sparks a website meltdown. And police called to an unusual rescue, how they saved a family of ducklings trapped down a drain.
In 7 News, GPs, dental care, pathology, even Pilates. Brisbane's new one-stop health hub, taking pressure off our hospitals. Plus, finding the cheapest homes in the best school catchments. The easy guide that's done all the homework for you. 7 News at 6.
As the Bonza airline remains grounded, so too do their staff, with the company standing down the majority of its employees. The administrator appointed to determine Bonza's future said with no immediate scope to resume operations, they were left with no choice but to stand 160 employees down. The carrier's grounding has been extended to at least the middle of next week, with round-the-clock meetings continuing today. Meanwhile, Jetstar's 20th birthday sale has sparked a mad rush for airfares, crashing the company's website. The budget carrier is offering flights from $29 across 82 domestic routes, but anyone trying to buy tickets this morning was met with an error message. Technical staff managed to get the site back up and running within an hour. A Sydney cafe has been named the most Instagrammable restaurant in the world. Angelique Opie caught up with the Ramsey Choker, the director of the grounds in Alexandria, about the honour.
Well, restaurants in the Big Apple and Tinseltown need to step aside because there is a new destination taking out the spot of the most photogenic venue in the world, and it's right here in Sydney's Inner West. I'm joined now by Ramsey Choker, the director of the grounds of Alexandria. How does it feel to know that your venue has taken out the title of the most Instagrammable spot above Sketch in London and Cat in Los Angeles?
Very grateful for it and thankful to my team. You know, we're lucky to build these amazing places for people to experience it.
What kind of installations can visitors see?
Disney to circus to Candyland, all sorts of things. It's just about experiencing for our guests.
And why do you guys do it?
And we love seeing kids come through, parents come through, families come through and enjoy the moments. It's all about creating special moments for people.
Therese, you are the creative mastermind behind these installations. What goes into creating them?
A lot of hard work from our whole creative team here at the grounds. It's such a lovely job to honestly have.
Tell me, what is the process like to build these installations?
It's all hands on deck here. We have our whole creative team building, constructing and creating little vignettes for customers to enjoy.
The team here says this isn't the end for the grounds. There will be a new coffee factory opening in South Everleigh in the coming weeks.
A food delivery rider's long run of alleged dangerous driving across Sydney has come to an end, having racked up 240 demerit points since January. The French national didn't have a valid local licence, suspended due to unpaid fines. The 23-year-old is in court later this month. You're watching 7's afternoon news. Still to come, the Gold Coast music virtuoso with an incredible secret talent. How 7-year-old Mason is moving to the beat of his own drum.
Good afternoon, Queensland. You are watching 7 News, coming to you live from Snapper Rocks down here. Of course, the Super Bank and the world's best just out there having a crack. Of course, that's all brought to you by the WSL down here, the Bonsai Gold Coast. It's for the Challenger Series and those others out there throughout the week, kicking off the qualifying of the 2025 Championship Tour. Let's jump now into the weather, because what's happening for the weekend? Yeah, around the country, we're just seeing a bit of a high down to the south. That's directing up south-east trade straight onto the eastern seaboard. With that, we've got some moisture pushing in. There's an inland trough, southwest and northwestern parts of New South Wales, Queensland. That's going to drop a fair bit of rain tomorrow, everybody, as well. That'll gradually make its way to the south-southeast. We're going to see a bit of a trough system across the east coast as well. On the surface, that means coastal, so a few isolated showers. Around the nation, a few showers. Sydney, Canberra, 4 to 17. Cold with a bit of sun for Melbourne, 7 to 17. Back to tropics now, partly cloudy Cairns and Townsville, a few showers set for Mackay. 19 to 26 degrees. Further south now, a couple of showers around Rocky. Really getting a bit heavier around Bundy and also down towards Gladstone. Be aware of that if you're up that neck of the woods. Gympie 16 to 24 with a shower, and Toowoomba similar. Back home in the southeast, a few isolated showers for your Saturday. Temperature-wise, holding steady at around 24 degrees in the city, down to 16 overnight, 15 to 24 for Logan, 14 to 24 for Ipswich, and 23 to 24 coastal regions. Sam, a great weekend ahead. Of course, out to lunch is Paul Fisher's big concert here at Coolangatta tomorrow. It's going to be one ripper weekend, no matter what.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you, Bertie. Well, a 7-year-old boy has only just discovered his secret talent, and it's incredible. Mason plays the drums like a seasoned professional, and it's a Gold Coast charity helping him to shine in the brightest way possible.
Close your eyes and I bet you won't believe that playing this is a boy in year 3. Mason is neurodivergent and school used to be tough. Then his family found Journey to Learn.
His academic skills were just absolutely phenomenal, but we had to find a way to bring him to school.
Founded by mum Linda Osman, the organisation provides one-on-one support in its centre and in schools to help neurodivergent children find their groove in mainstream classrooms.
To bring them to where they belong, it changes lives.
Now at Gold Coast Christian College, Mason is marching to the beat of his own drums and thriving.
He loves school.
I haven't quite seen anything quite like it. It's amazing.
Mason had his first drum lesson just 6 months ago. If he sees and hears a song once, he can play it.
Like he's almost at a seasoned player level. I've sat and watched him play with tears in my eyes sometimes.
A talent destined for the stage, Mason just played for 300 people at the Journey to Learn fundraising ball. Drumming up support for the charity that's done so much for him and his family. On the Gold Coast, Amanda Abate, 7 News.
Good on you, Mason. Well, police in Philadelphia performed an unusual rescue this week. They found a mother duck standing guard on a storm grate. Underneath, her 11 ducklings who'd fallen through were trapped in the drain below. One officer lowered himself into the pipe and one by one passed the ducklings up to his partner. And that is Queensland's 4 p.m. news for this Friday. See you tomorrow.